Coming up next, the latest on the CEO murder suspect captured in Altoona, and what's next for him, plus reaction to those supporting him.
Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911.
Plus, what Donald Trump's election may mean for Israeli-U.S. relations.
And the college football playoffs are coming to Happy Valley, how fans and the local economy are impacted. The Center County Report starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Dylan Price.
And I'm Haley Jacobs. Thanks for joining us for the Center County Report. Our top story, the suspect in the killing of United Healthcare's CEO remains in custody in Huntington County. The big question, when will he return to New York to face murder charges? Ethan Ellis was in Altoona this week after the suspect's arrest there.
It's a crime that shocked the nation. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson gunned down on a New York street, and all caught on camera. The manhunt launched after the killing captivated the nation for days until a massive break here in central PA. Police arrested 26-year-old Luigi Mangione at a McDonald's in Altoona after a customer spotted him and an employee called the police.
When officers arrived, they made contact with the male who had a face mask on. That male was asked to remove his face mask, and officers immediately recognized him as a suspect in the New York City shooting. Police say he was carrying a gun, mask, and writings linking him to the crime, and they say he gave them a fake New Jersey ID. Soon after his arrest, a motorcade of NYPD officers and FBI agents rolled into Altoona to question him. Mangione was arraigned that night in Hollidaysburg, and he's now fighting an extradition to New York as he faces second-degree murder and other charges. During his press conference in this room, Governor Josh Shapiro condemned this act of violence, saying, "This is not how we solve grievances in a civilized world."
In America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint. I understand people have real frustration with our healthcare system, and I have worked to address that throughout my career.
On social media across the country, some have hailed Mangione as a hero, sharing their own horror stories of dealing with a frustrating American healthcare system. The governor says Mangione is anything but a hero.
Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning. The real heroes every day in our society are the women and men who put on uniforms like these and go out in our communities to keep us safe.
Mangione is from a prominent Maryland family, went to school at Penn in Philadelphia. As for what's next, officials hope to send him back to New York with a governor's warrant, but that process could happen quickly or take more than a month. In Altoona, I'm Ethan Ellis for the Center County Report.
New York's police commissioner says the gun found with Mangione is a match with shell casings at the crime scene. She also says his fingerprints match those on a water bottle and food wrapper found nearby.
The court cases of two former Penn State football players accused of rape are moving forward. Kavion Keys and Jameel Lyons, who are both 19, are accused of raping a 17-year-old Penn State student at their on-campus apartment in July. Next up for the suspects is their formal arraignment scheduled for January 8th. They were removed from the team over the summer.
There's new information in the case of a former Gregg Township secretary accused of stealing more than $500,000 from the township. Pamela Hackenberg is charged in the case. According to statecollege.com, court documents accuse her of using a municipal credit card for personal expenses for more than 5 years and giving false budget reports to cover it up.
Donald Trump will return to the White House next month. His election is already reshaping conversations around the Middle East. Rachel Fisher is here with more. Rachel?
Thanks, Dylan. Donald Trump isn't even in office yet, but his Middle East policies and reaction are already sparking debate. From Gaza to Lebanon, tensions remain high, and many are wondering what his leadership means for the region. With tensions still high after months of war in Gaza and Lebanon, there are plenty of questions about how Donald Trump's policies might impact the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
I absolutely expect there to be a change. I mean, the party in power right now, you have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House. And I think, one of the reasons that they didn't do what they had hoped in this election was because they lack moral clarity and honestly just consistency on the issue of Israel-Palestine.
The Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, which erupted after last year's terror attacks, has killed more than 44,000 people, according to Palestinian health officials. With Trump appointing pro-Israel allies to key positions, others worry his policies may further tilt the balance.
If anything changes, it'll be pretty marginal because I believe, you can only do so much more genocide than Kamala Harris has already.
Trump recently posted on Truth Social, quote, "There will be all hell to pay in the Middle East if the hostages are not released." A ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon has provided temporary relief in the north.
Just trying to hope this whole situation will manage to resolve, not by force, but peacefully, that not more people will suffer that already have.
Trump's policies are set to play a key role in the evolving dynamics of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. The coming months will reveal how his administration navigates these challenges. Live in the studio, I'm Rachel Fisher. Now back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Rachel. Work on the first stage of the Calder Way construction project in State College has wrapped up. The $6.6 million phase included replacement of sewer, storm, water main, and gas main lines. Crews also paved and marked a half-mile of road and upgraded pedestrian ramps. The next phase starts next year and stretches from South Fraser to South Atherton Street.
1 week from tomorrow, Penn State will host its first ever college football playoff game. Beaver Stadium, as you see it here live, will be filled again as the Nittany Lions try to take their next step toward a national title. Reporter John Hartley says for fans, it's a dream come true.
Excitement is running high in Happy Valley as the Nittany Lions prepare for their first college football playoff game. In a town that revolves around football, fans say there's a lot on the line.
I think it definitely means more. I mean, us as a school, we haven't been to the playoffs in a while. So, just being able to be in the playoffs, even with the extended, bracket and everything, I think we have a really good route. And we could do some damage this year.
The first step in the Nittany Lions playoff path will also have a familiar look, a full stadium whiteout.
I think the fact that we're doing a whiteout on a playoff series in college football playoffs is a huge deal. I think it's going to be louder than no other before. So I'm sure we'll show out, the fans will show out, and of course the players will have no choice but to show out themselves.
Some fans had hoped for a night game, but it'll be another noon kickoff.
It's tragic, to say the least. It's tragic, and if there's anything that many people would do, they would definitely get rid of that as a whole, because it just it does hinder on excitement levels pretty well.
Senior Robert Cook says his final game as a student will be special.
Just to be a part of that crowd one last time for something that means something more than just a regular season game. It being a whiteout, those are always fun, so I'm just looking forward to experiencing it one last time.
In University Park, I'm John Hartley for the Center County Report.
And reporter Evan Halfman is live at the stadium with more on the economic impact of this game. Evan?
Thanks, Haley. It's quiet and cold here now, but a week from tomorrow, this place will be crazy for the playoff game against SMU. And for Center County, it means more visitors and more money.
Next weekend, two big events converge on State College. It's fall commencement at Penn State, and now you can add a college football playoff game. Tens of thousands of people will travel here, once again giving the area an economic boost. Officials told us a Penn State whiteout weekend has a $20 million economic impact on the area. This will have a similar impact.
It's definitely good for the hotels, it's good for the restaurants and the hotels, and I anticipate it'll be a very good weekend for all of the businesses in State College.
Most hotels are sold out, and they're charging sky-high rates. We've seen as high as $1,600 a night.
With the high-profile games, I would say, pricing for hotels, not just ours, but the whole market, very similar to what we saw for Ohio State and Washington this past year.
Restaurants, bars, and shops are also preparing for the unusual December crowds. Downtown Bar Brothers is expecting its highest grossing weekend.
Whiteout weekend was our highest sales weekend, and we're expecting to beat that over the playoff game just because people are coming and they're the holidays, they want to spend money, they want to have a good time, and it's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Staffing has been a challenge for some during a time when student employees are usually back home for break. But for students and fans, it's shaping up to be an unforgettable weekend.
This stadium can hold 111,000 fans, but Happy Valley Sports and Entertainment told me there are only 2,800 hotel rooms in Center County. Do the math. That's why rooms are so expensive and hard to come by. Live at Beaver Stadium, I'm Evan Halfin. Now back to you.
Thanks, Evan. How's the weather looking as we get closer to that game? We'll check the forecast.
And a holiday tradition that draws thousands to Center County begins today. Also coming up, a sport that's popular around the world but little known in the U.S. is making strides right here in Pennsylvania. For the 43rd year, a popular holiday tradition returns to Bellefonte this weekend, Victorian Christmas. Reporter Alina Surace is live in Bellefonte with more. Alina?
Yeah, Dylan, this town truly transforms into something out of a Christmas movie during its annual Victorian Christmas celebration, and it all begins this afternoon.
The holidays are here, and in Bellefonte, that means time for a long-time tradition, Victorian Christmas. With handmade decorations, festive lights, and horse-drawn carriages, the atmosphere honors the town's Victorian history.
It's literally like somebody says action, and then it's like a Hallmark movie. It's just filled with carolers singing, and it's decorated so beautiful.
With thousands of visitors expected, businesses are expecting a surge in customers.
At the moment, there's nobody on the streets of Bellefonte, but tomorrow night into the weekend, there's going to be thousands of people from Bellefonte and from the surrounding areas to enjoy a Victorian Christmas. They'll experience arts and crafts, concerts, and more.
With 200 arts and crafts vendors and plenty of concerts, the event brings opportunities for small businesses to display their work. Dave Provan has been working on this model train set for 10 months to show off to customers at Bell Mercantile.
The sidewalks were really teeming with people making Bellefonte a destination, and I would estimate we probably had around 15 to 20,000 people come to town.
About 30 shops are joining this year's cookie crawl. State Burger Company is one of them. Visitors will go to participating stores and collect cookies. Helen Fox & Company also hopes for a sales boost this weekend.
And all of our stores are just flooded with the most glorious people that come in and just are enjoying the day. Yeah, it's lovely.
This event is a source of pride.
A lot of people have said to me relatively recently, wow, Bellefonte's back. And I said, no, Bellefonte's been back for a long time.
The event gets started around 4 o'clock today with the Festival of the Trees, and from 5 to 8 there are horse-drawn carriage rides, and at 6 o'clock the opening ceremony begins. Live from Bellefonte, I'm Alina Surace. Now over to Sean for the weather.
Well, it is chilly out there, Alina. You're a trooper for being out in that cold today, that's for sure. It's currently in the low 20s here in State College at the Arbor Room. Just actually popped up to 27 just a few minutes ago. It does feel like 20 though, so it is very chilly out there. Little bit of wind right now, but a clear and cold day by all means around here. 27 here in State College. We've just broken into the 20s here in Bradford. That was the last spot to do it. Still see some teens hanging around in the northern tier. 21 down in Johnstown. It's already 35 above freezing down in Philadelphia, so it is a little better once you get east of the mountains, but in the mountains and west, it is cold. Now, as we look forward in time, tonight by midnight, we are already down to 18 here in State College after we get high about 28, so it will be very, very cold overnight here. Looking forward into tonight's forecast specifically, it is down to 12 in State College. Yes, an Arctic evening here across most of Pennsylvania, all the way down to 7 in Bradford. It's a little warmer when we get east of the mountains. It's still at 18 in Harrisburg, a little warmer in retrospect. 18 is not exactly warm. Though as we look forward into our Saturday planner, it's cold, but there are some changes on the way. Again, another cold one, as I mentioned. It's a frigid start here in central Pennsylvania, 15 degrees when you get up and get going in the morning. So bundle up if you're going outside. Gets up close to freezing, about 31, and then some clouds start to roll in with our next big change, and we get down to about 28 by about 5 p.m. and the sun starts to go down. Our future cast looking forward in time by tomorrow. These clouds sort of wander overnight, and by tomorrow, as I mentioned, later in the day, these high clouds start to roll in from the west. So we start to see those changes, as I mentioned. Later in the night, that'll all thicken up, and then this next batch of rain and snow and slop really starts to move in later in the day on Sunday. You see the mix in the mountains here. It's already raining out towards Pittsburgh later in the day, but in the mountains, especially here in central Pennsylvania, we're talking definitely some snow that'll hang around. Whether we get a lot of accumulation out of it, that's a different question, but you will see the flakes flying. So if you are traveling on Sunday, be careful. Try to get out early because it'll be before this really starts to mix things up. Getting forward into Monday, that's when you start to see this start to clear to the east, and it turns more to rain, especially here across most of the area. It is rain, especially as it moves east. Now, looking forward, though, our next real interesting thing is going to be on Wednesday when we're talking about our next system blowing through. That'll come through across most of central Pennsylvania, and then the next system, Friday. That's when we start to wonder if we're going to start to see snow when we're talking about Friday and even into the weekend. Our 7-day forecast, we're talking about a really unsettled week. So if you are traveling for the holidays, that could be really questionable. So do have an eye on your flights and do have an eye on the road conditions as we move forward into next week.
Great info, Sean. I know I'm ready for the snow. I'm hoping for a white Christmas.
And also, Sean, potential for a whiteout in the whiteout. Speaking of, let's send it to Josh with sports.
Coming up in sports, the Nittany Lions are in their first college football playoff. We take a look at how they got there and the road ahead. And a sport popular in Europe is growing here in Pennsylvania. We take a closer look at these PA hooligans. I'm Josh Bartosik with sports. The newly expanded college football playoff is here, and Penn State is prepping for a home game against SMU next Saturday. Let's take a closer look as the chase begins for a national championship. After losing to top-ranked Oregon in the Big Ten championship, Penn State had to put the loss in the rearview mirror and get ready for its first college football playoff game.
Whether we'll find out tomorrow whether it's a home game in 16 inches of snow or whether it's an away game on the road. We'll be excited about whatever opportunity that comes, and we'll be prepared and we'll be ready.
The Nittany Lions finished the season with an 11-2 record, with close losses to the Ducks and Ohio State.
Obviously, there was still some hurt feelings and raw emotions, but overall, I think guys get it and understand that we got a ton of football left in front of us as long as we handle it the right way.
Next up, SMU in round one. The Mustangs also finished their season at 11-2 with a loss in the ACC championship on a last-second field goal. SMU has a high-flying offense, averaging nearly 40 points per game, headlined by star running back Brashard Smith.
Obviously, tremendous history and tradition at SMU, and they've done a really good job.
With a huge crowd expected at Beaver Stadium for a second whiteout, James Franklin's squad will look to take the next step towards its first national title since 1986. More football news. Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. has declared for the NFL draft. He's been out with an injury since September, and Tyler Warren won the Mackey Award last night as the nation's best tight end. And Penn State's football schedule for next year is out. They'll play the first 4 games at home, including a rematch against Oregon on September 27th. The Lions will travel to UCLA, Iowa, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Rutgers. The Nittany Lions volleyball squad is heading to the Sweet 16 tonight when they take on Marquette at Rec Hall. The Lions come into this match with a 30-2 record after beating Delaware State and North Carolina in the first 2 rounds of the tournament. The nation's number 2 ranked team will look to continue the postseason run tonight after the Creighton and Texas match. Penn State men's basketball returns home tomorrow after a heartbreaking loss to Rutgers this week. Rutgers freshman duo of Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey were too much to handle as the Nittany Lions fell in Piscataway. Down 17 points in the second half, Penn State managed to claw back within 3 with just 4 seconds left. But Ace Baldwin's game-tying 3-point attempt was off the mark, and the Scarlet Knights won 80-76. The Lions will look to get back into the win column against Coppin State tomorrow. Penn State men's hockey faced off against Army West Point last night in Washington, D.C. The Lions beat the Knights 4-1 in the Capital Hockey Classic. The team now takes its winter break until January 3rd. That's when they head to Wrigley Field in Chicago to play Notre Dame. Now, how about some football? Without the pads? A Pennsylvania rugby team is gaining popularity and working to grow the sport. Ryan Esslinger went to Pittsburgh to find out more.
Top hit on 3. 1, 2, 3!
Top hit!
It's wildly popular in Europe and around the world, but rugby hasn't exactly taken America by storm. But there's an amateur team right here in Pennsylvania looking to change that, the South Pittsburgh Hooligans.
Yeah, Ricky!
They've been around for 4 decades. Most people just haven't heard of them. But the team is trying to grow the sport. Captain Jim Dieterle says if you have the look and feel of a rugby player, they want you.
I talk to any guy who looks somewhat built at the gym. There's a body type, or position for any body type in rugby. So big or small, we want you. And it's really about letting people know.
Players and coaches say this rugby club is like a family. That helps rookies like Ricky Schulzeberger connect with teammates.
It's so cool how they just like bring you in and like how they hype you up when you get down or whatever the case may be.
For the players and the coaches, these hooligans are more than just a team. They're a brotherhood.
Rugby for me is everything.
Sometimes it helps these guys through the serious turns in life.
This family's got me through breakups, it's got me through 3 to 4 jobs, it's got me through, moves. It gets you through everything in life.
So rugby to me is mostly an escape because I've dealt with a lot of tragedy the past couple of years of my life. And being accepted into a brotherhood, how it is like here, it gives me a sense of purpose. It's helping me stay in shape, and it's giving me something to look forward to each week.
The Hooligans also use social media to get the word out. On Instagram, they even use graphics with a Retro Bowl theme to increase fan engagement and include a man of the match and dog of the match. The club field 3 men's and 1 women's squad and play league competition in Western PA, New York, and into the Midwest.
But we really pushed to just have as many people playing. This past year, we introduced a 2nd division team, which then gave an opportunity for even more players to step on the field.
The Hooligans will play in the USA Club Rugby National Championship Series next May, and their new season will begin shortly after that. In Pittsburgh, I'm Ryan Esslinger for the Center County Report.
South on me, South on 3. 1, 2, 3. South hit!
The club is also trying to expand youth and high school rugby in the Pittsburgh area. That's all for sports. Now back to you guys at the desk.
Yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh and I didn't even know this team existed.
It's truly awesome to see something that's not necessarily well known in the Americas come over here and just have such a big impact early on.
Incredible story. Wishing them the best of luck as well in the national championships. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. Coming up next, a winter celebration at Penn State is bringing dazzling displays, entertainment, and more.
The Penn State Arboretum is bringing back its winter celebration this evening. From 4 till 8 p.m., you can enjoy musical performances, hot beverages, crafts, and nighttime bird walks, all free of charge. At the center of it all is an 18-foot Fraser fir wrapped in over 1,000 lights at the Soaring Waters Fountain. The Arboretum also has a holiday light display running through January 19th.
There's nothing like the holidays at Penn State, but that's all for today's newscast, and it's our final newscast of the fall semester. A new Center County Report team will be here in January.
But you can still follow us anytime for breaking news on our Center County Report X, and you can see our stories on our Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube, and our website. Have a good afternoon and a very happy holidays.